When getting the B pillar out, there is one torque screw located behind the seatbelt guard. Then you have to remove the wire holder because this giant pin here goes through this hole, which is what's holding this into place along with 6 other clips. I don't understand why they made it that way, but this is like the only screw other than the ones holding the speakers that we've run into so far. I know the idea would be there's no screws in this car, but there is one and it's hidden behind this panel. Make sure when you pull this up, this comes up first, which is different from most cars, and then you have to get the one screw. All right, we had to fast forward ahead a little bit in our disassembly of the car that we didn't get a chance to show you, only because when we ran, like we showed you, we had to sand that clip to make it thinner. There was some questions about that. We were on the phone with Alpine, blah blah. Anyways, the point is we had to get to the back of the car here, which is where the second amplifier is located in the car. I'll tell you how to get to it though, so don't worry about that. There is a piece of carpet that looks like a panel, and it is. Start at the front here and work your way around and it'll pop out of place. Once you get that done, you'll get a little blood on you. This panel here has to come out. To get that out, remove the scratch guard. There is a runner that looks just like this. That has to come out. What you'll find underneath that is this other piece of plastic here, and there's one clip that holds this in place that's been like every other clip in the car that you pop up and then you can remove. Once that is removed, it comes down into here. This whole piece will then unclip. It's super simple. It is just a giant piece of carpet that has been epoxied with some foam attached to it. It just has the white clips that we've seen throughout the car. It just snaps right off, nice and clean, nice and easy. Probably one of the easier panels to get out of the car so far. And what we were trying to get to with all of that is this corner right here. This is the factory subwoofer, this is the factory amplifier. The other end of the harness has these big plugs here on them, and those are designed to be attached to these harnesses here. The subwoofer is not part of that application, meaning that we're not going to be retaining the factory subwires. There is new subwires that are coming directly out of the amplifier to this wire. So if you're looking at the plug, you know, like, there's a lot of wires on this side. You could actually leave the factory subwoofer in here and they'd be powered up from the amplifier. They just wouldn't run through our DSP. We're not going to do that, of course. We're going to unplug this subwoofer here, remove this whole thing, and put our subwoofer in place of it. This T-harness though needs to be plugged into this amplifier and then the other end plugged in. So nothing is actually unplugged at all. So make sure when you're doing this, if you're like, I didn't plug something, everything needs to be plugged back in. And this is why we talked about having that seat folded down, because the seat has to be folded down, at least on the passenger side, in order to get this panel out. Boss move there. We need to get the factory subwoofer out of place so we can get our aftermarket one in. In order to do that, we first have to remove the amplifier here. There's a couple screws holding the box in. All of them are 10mm. It's best to just start with a deep well 10mm socket. This has a hook on it, so you just lift up the amplifier, bring it forward. Like the rest of this car, there's clips that hold stuff everywhere. Just move the amplifier down out of the way. That gets us to this back 10mm. Next, we need to remove this out of the way so it exposes this other 10mm up here. You don't need to remove it entirely, you just need to get enough room so you can get to this 10. Then pull the box towards the center of the vehicle. There we go. Our factory box is out. Let's go take a look at this on the bench. This is the factory sub enclosure. Very uniquely shaped speaker. Has a cool little Tesla logo on it. It is ported. It's got a weird shape to it. As always, it's optimized. It's like any other factory subwoofer enclosure that we've seen. It's a dual voice coil. I mean, it's what it is. Let's take a look at what we're gonna replace this with. We got the camera way up so we can take a look at this right here. This is the EV100 SWYT Tesla car by car subwoofer Model Y. I don't think someone proofread the box like that. Anyways, this is the 10-inch subwoofer, RMS power 100, peak power 500, product of DSP sound system. Let's look on this side here. So subwoofer type is a 10-inch. Power we know. Impedance is 4 ohm plus 4 ohm, so it's a dual 4 ohm. Sensitivity is 86 dB, 1 watt, 1 meter. Frequency response is 25 to 300. Design and specifications are subject to change without notice. I think that one is one of the weirdest ones that they put on these for some reason. I don't know why that has to be there. You could write this on here because I'm sure it's just copy and paste, but you couldn't figure out Tesla car by car subwoofer, like Tesla car subwoofer Model Y. You don't need that. That's just beautiful picture. It's not about pictures. Let's open this thing up. Let's see what we got. Okay, so this is a first. We're opening something and it's not in a bag. Very odd because most of the time these things come in bags. Don't get me wrong, I'm not upset about that. I hate all the trash that these companies generate. But it does come in nice foam, which I think is probably the most important, and it slides out easy. Ooh, that's cool. The top piece of foam is just that. It is nothing to get excited about. However, this bottom piece of foam, it is way more intense. It has a whole shelf in it to keep the subwoofer from floating around, which is really kind of cool. We have a 10-inch subwoofer, hammer surround. This mounting flange is plastic. This is also made out of a blown PVC, I'm sure, of some kind. Speaker plug for the dual voice coil right here on the front, which is part of the main harness. I'm guessing these are probably to make it more rigid because it's kind of in it the whole way around, which we know adding things like this will make the enclosure more rigid. I don't know what this is yet. It seems to be there's hole locations here on the sides. So we have a hole mount here, we have a hole down here on the bottom, and we have one more hole here for mounting. So it looks like we have 3 mounting points, which should be good. And the other thing too, I really wish they'd adopt this in their other lines, is this beautiful blue and black carbon fiber that we've seen through this whole install. Oh, it's just so nice. It looks fantastic. I love it. Let's get it in the car. To get the Alpine mounted up in here, just do the same thing. Pull this panel back a little bit. Just kind of jiggle it in. Top bolt. Replace the factory screws back into place. This does not plug into the factory plug. On the harness that we're running from them, they have the sub wire here, which you can then plug in. I'm gonna clip this back into place. We're almost done with this side. I've also zip tied up the harness into their harness. I have one other set of wires to run forward, which is the power and the data wire that's gonna go into the center console. And speaking of the center console, let's head over there, plug in that pack module. To get to the center console, we just need to remove this small piece right here. It sits on here like this. Take your panel tool, come in from one of the edges, unpop it. Once you can get your fingers behind it, the whole thing will come off, and this is the plug we are looking for. It's blue in this particular vehicle, and we've added in our T-harness. Now we have to find some place to put the pack module, the Can Pro. There is no room here. However, if you come down this area here, it's totally hollow from like here down. What I've decided to do is come in from the underseat area here, which I can reach my hand up to this point right here. So I've snaked over my wire, and I'm gonna put my Can Pro in this area where it's much easier to get to instead of fighting with this mount here and, you know, making the carpet bulge. And if I need to get to it, I can easily slide the seat forward, pull it out, and do what I need to do there. And here's my end. So you have plenty of wire to get it up and out of the way from behind here.